And we are already in screen share mode. And welcome everyone on this wonderful Tuesday of our first Tuesday in December. It's hard to believe it's December. And this is our last team call, our Trailblazer team call for the year. And I just really wanted to give you a gift of someone that is so special to me, and a gift of education that has truly impacted my life in such a big way. And I'll just give you guys the little backdrop on how I met Stephanie and how this all came to be. Then I'm going to read you her bio, and then I'm going to turn this over to her because there's so much great information that I am excited to share. If you're not muted out, if you could mute, that would be awesome. Thanks, guys, so much. So last year around this time, I started to kind of think about my life and my business and where I was at. I was about to turn 49, and I thought, wow, I'm almost 50, and I'm not where I want to be in all the areas of my life, and have accomplished a lot, super proud of a lot, but I'm a very hungry, driven person, as some of you know, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do something. And about a week later, I saw a post from a very dear friend of mine that I love and admire, Pammy Shepley. A lot of you guys know her. She's a 100 Club member, and we've become really good friends over the years. And she posted about the success that she had had in her year, and she posted this little card. And she mentioned a woman named Stephanie, and it really got me intrigued. So I reached out to Pam and I said, what are you doing? Who are you working with? And she connected me with Stephanie, and the rest, they say, is history. And although it may not look like it on paper, my life is very different than it was a year ago. And I have had a really, really great year with my Juice Plus business in terms of bringing on new people and just really growing and feeling good about that. And most of all, I have just really experienced so much more joy and peace and just a real discipline of my mindset. And I just feel so grateful, especially on a day like today where I'm definitely being tested, that I have this foundation and this education. And Stephanie has just been such a beautiful guide and coach to me this year. I'm going to try not to cry because it has been a really emotional day for me. But Stephanie has just been incredible. So I wanted to share a little snippet of what she has shared with me and what I have learned. And there are certainly resources, and I can offer those up to you guys at the end. But let me just tell you a little bit about Stephanie. She is a certified Thinking into Results consultant, and that's a program that I went through with her, helping individuals to create and achieve their greatest success possible. She trains with Bob Proctor, the most recognized teacher from the personal development film The Secret. Stephanie is also a Concord, Massachusetts, where she lives, based artist and entrepreneur. Previously, she's worked with corporate businesses for 16 years, including the Merrill Lynch Company and the Northern Trust Company. She graduated from Wellesley College in Massachusetts and earned her MBA from Wharton School. And one of the things that I love and admire about Stephanie so much is that she is so devoted to this work and to her own growth so that she can share that with all of us. And I just love you, Stephanie, so much. And I'm just so excited to have you share a little bit with my team tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Lisa, for that beautiful introduction, and also for me to acknowledge what a gift you have been in my life, and having the opportunity to support someone who is so dedicated to her growth and her self-improvement the way you are. And for those of you who are on the call, you know, I want to just take a minute to acknowledge what a tremendous leader you have in Lisa, and to really be aware of that, because leaders and mentors are what we really need for achieving our success. And Lisa is someone who I've worked with who really grasped this information. So I want to encourage all of you who work with her to, follow her, follow what she's doing, because she knows what she's doing, and you can all learn so much from her. So thank you, Lisa, also for this opportunity to speak this evening and to share some of these success concepts. And I love these concepts. So what I want to do this evening is walk you through a presentation that's called Paradigm Shift. For any of you who are familiar with Bob Proctor, who's my mentor, he's the individual who many of you might have watched the movie The Secret. Bob is the tall guy with the white hair. He's actually 84 years young. But paradigm is something he talks about a lot. You learn a lot about paradigms when you work with Bob Proctor. So I'm going to walk you through a presentation called Paradigm Shift, and I want to leave you with some tools for achieving your goals and really living the life, or at least getting yourself on the path of living the life that you desire, because it all starts with awareness. And part of what I also want to leave you with are some concepts about understanding your mind, because success starts inside of you. And it starts with the effective use of your mind. If you think about it, your mind is the most important part of you that no one teaches us how to use, right? So I want to leave you with some important ideas this evening also about how your mind works and how you can tap into it so that you use your mind in service of the goals that you want to achieve. And before we go any deeper, I also want to just take a few minutes to just let you know that over the years, I've gotten to know Juice Plus pretty well. I've worked with quite a few Juice Plus representatives, and I just so believe in the Juice Plus company and the mission of the Juice Plus company. And individuals who are in network marketing usually resonate with with this information really, really well. And in fact, Bob Proctor's wife was a very, very successful professional in the network marketing business, and she completely applied the principles that she learned from Bob. So I want to start by reading a quote to you, and that is, before you can achieve the kind of life you want, you must think, act, talk, and conduct yourself in all your affairs as would the person you wish to become. Keep a mental picture of that person as often as you can during the day. Now, Earl Nightingale is one of the greats of the personal achievement world. Back in the 1950s, he was a real pioneer in personal development. But this idea, the basic concept here is that to be successful, you've got to become that person first. People think that we have to do certain things to become successful, but actually we have to do things in a certain way to become successful. And part of that starts in your mind and keeping that mental picture of the person you want to be impressed in your mind, as Earl Nightingale says here, as often as you can during the day. Now, Earl Nightingale was a brilliant man. I think he passed away in the 1980s, but he was actually Bob Proctor's mentor. So when you work with Bob Proctor, you indirectly have the legacy also of Earl Nightingale, both brilliant individuals in the personal development field. And I personally believe that Bob is the best teacher in the world today on the subject of personal achievement, for one single reason, that he teaches you how to use your mind in a way that nobody else does. So I do study with lots of other teachers, and I encourage everyone to study with other teachers because there's so much good information out there, and particularly in the world today with all the understanding that we have as well about neuroscience, there's a lot of really, really good information out in the world today on personal development. So it's a great time to be a goal achiever, so to speak. So I want to quickly show you, here's a picture of me with Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher, and just a little bit of background. Back in about 2005, I had just finished up years of going through a very heart-wrenching divorce and years of custody issues. And now this picture is 2016, but I first heard of Bob Proctor back in 2005. As I was saying, I had just emerged from years and years of very gut-wrenching personal experience. And I knew that things had to be better. And right around that time, a friend of mine sent me the movie The Secret. And I had never heard of these concepts before, but I was so curious and intrigued by them. And I was especially intrigued by Bob Proctor. So for those of you who don't know Bob, he's the individual here on the left. And show of hands, are any of you familiar with Bob? I know Lisa is. No, aren't familiar with him? Oh, interesting. Okay, so The Secret is a very intriguing movie. It's about law of attraction, for any of you who might be familiar with that, using our thoughts and our beliefs to attract what it is that we want. So success starts in our minds. But I made up my mind then that I wanted to know what Bob Proctor knows. I wanted to study with this individual. And then about 5 years ago, I actually started to train with him personally. And although I had always considered myself a goal achiever and a successful person, I realized actually how ignorant I was on some of the most important success principles. So working with Bob really, really got me moving in a whole new important direction. And more importantly, doing work that is extremely fulfilling and work that I love. So in addition to, as Lisa mentioned, I'm an artist. I left the corporate world. I decided I wanted to build my art portfolio because I knew if I didn't, I would regret it for the rest of my life. And I also made the decision that I wanted to help people become the best version of themselves possible, reach their potential. So this is the work that I've been doing the last 5 years, and it has been absolutely amazing for me to witness the changes in my own life, but also witness the transformation in my clients' lives. So I want to talk about something now, and you just saw this, my disappearing arrows here on this slide. There are two things that are really, really, really important for you to know. The first is where you are, and the second is where you're going. Now, you saw a few minutes ago, I had those arrows that disappeared. They disappeared a little faster than I originally thought they would, but the fact of the matter is they disappeared. And the reason is to just point out, that most people either don't have goals or have goals but don't reach them, okay? So what's going on? Like, it seems so simple. You are here, everybody is here in the present, we have a certain direction, but most people don't reach their goals. Most people are stuck. And why is that? Why are most people stuck? It seems so obvious, right? You're here, the direction is up. Like, what happens? Well, what happens is something that's called your paradigms. And your paradigms are your mental programming. So mental programming is multitudes of habits, okay? And our mental programming has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. Our mental programming is happening at a subconscious level. In other words, we're not even aware of it, okay? But it is so strong that it can keep you stuck. Our paradigms can keep us stuck. So if you think back on the graphic I showed you a few minutes ago, right, what's getting in the way is our mental programming, our set ways of doing things. So where do you start? Okay, how do we start? And Lisa, I just see a smile in your face. You recognize your friend, the stick person, right? Where do we start? Well, it helps to start with understanding how you work, okay? How your body works in conjunction with your mind. And like I was saying a few minutes ago, our mind is the most important part of us that no one teaches us how to use. So when you work with Bob Proctor in a program, for example, like Thinking into Results, one of the things that we do is work with this image called the stick person. And Bob refers to this as the most valuable lesson he ever learned. And this image was actually developed by a doctor of chiropractic medicine in Texas back in 1934. His name was Dr. Thurman Fleet. And he was frustrated because he felt that most healing arts professionals were treating the symptoms, not the causes of illness. And when Bob grasped this image, he realized that that same concept is applicable to our behavior, okay? So let me take you on a journey through this stick person. Now, the reason the body is so small relative to what we observe here as the mind or the head is because our body is merely an instrument of our mind. In our society, we are so programmed to be outwardly focused, to be appearance focused, to be body focused, that we think it's all about appearances, right? No, like I was saying a few minutes ago, it's our mind. Everything starts in our mind. Our body is merely executing the orders of our mind, and primarily our subconscious mind. It's estimated that up to 95% of our behavior is subconscious. That means it's automatic, right? We're not even consciously aware of it. Sometimes this serves us, like when we're driving, right? Most of us are so good at driving that it's automatic for us. So that's a situation where it actually serves us. But a lot of times, our subconscious programming, our paradigms are getting in our way, right? And again, our body is the instrument of our mind. So to change our results, we've got to go to the source of our behavior, our actions, which is our subconscious mind. Okay, so I want to say that again. To change our results, it's not enough to change behavior. That's not lasting. We've got to go to the cause of our behavior, which is our paradigms, which is our subconscious mind. Okay, so let me go a little bit deeper now. Our mind is, as you see here, it's got two sections, conscious mind and subconscious mind. You know, most psychologists will tell you our mind is more complicated than that, and I'm sure it is. But for what we need, I'd really like to focus on these two parts of our mind. Our conscious mind is our thinking mind. This is our educated mind. This is the part of our mind that reasons, that accepts or rejects information. Now, our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. This is also the storehouse of our memories, of our habits, of our paradigms. So remember what I said a few minutes ago? Our paradigms is our mental programming that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, okay? So to change our results, if you want to improve your results, we've got to go to the source, the cause, the root cause of our behavior, which is in our subconscious mind, okay? So and actually I want to mention one more thing on the subconscious mind that's really, really important. So remember a few minutes ago I said that at a conscious level, we can accept or reject information, okay? But our subconscious mind is different. Our subconscious mind accepts as truth whatever it receives with emotion, okay? So for example, that's why we have to be so careful around children, because they don't have conscious filters the way adults do, right? So if a child hears information like you're fat or you're never going to do well in math or whatever it might be, if that's emotionalized, it becomes part of their paradigm and accompanies them into adulthood. So throughout our lives, we're accepting information emotionally into our subconscious mind that is not true at all. But unfortunately, it becomes part of our paradigm. And when it's negative, it holds us back. It gets in the way of our success. So what's the next step? So what I encourage my clients to do is to really think about, what do you really want? To really get clear to yourself, to ask yourself, what do you really, really want? And in asking yourself this, to stretch yourself. You know, most people don't stretch themselves enough. In fact, that's why most people don't achieve their New Year's goals, because they just aren't inspired by their goals. So in thinking into results, what we do is we stretch ourselves to really dream big, to fantasize, to set a big, bold, meaningful goal, something that you really, really want, something that you've never done before, something that may feel like it's totally out of your reach, but you know that it's something that you really, really want. You know, there's a part of us, if you think of it, human beings exist on 3 levels: intellectual, physical, and spiritual or invisible. Okay. And at that spiritual level, each one of us has an essence, and that essence wants to grow. That essence wants to experience ourselves more fully and to experience life more fully. Okay. So every single person can tap into that spiritual part of ourselves and really go into your heart to ask yourself, what do I really, really want? So in thinking into results, we actually work on this lesson for about 2 weeks. And I find that people are all over the place when it comes to getting clarity around what they want, right? And so it's not a race, but it's important to spend that time, to invest that time to getting clear about what it is that you really, really want. And not to pay attention to what your conditions are or your circumstances or what other people might say, but to get really clear on what you want. So let's talk a little bit about what a goal is, okay? Because we were just talking about, well, what do you really, really want? And in thinking into results, one of the things that we do is that we express what you want as a goal. And the reason we express it as a goal is because we want it to be something that's fairly measurable, including it could be measurable in terms of a feeling. And I know a feeling might seem abstract, but let's face it, we know when we feel healthy and alive, and we know when we don't. Okay, so that can be a goal. But a goal is something that you're going to go after that you've never done before. And it's going to really stretch you. And that part of you, that spirit, wants to grow. So the real purpose of a goal is to cause you to grow. It's to cause you to draw something out of yourself that maybe you didn't even know existed. Okay, so a goal is something that you've never done before. So we don't have the time to go through this now, but I want to encourage you after this call is done, but definitely don't forget to do this. Okay, so in the next 24 hours, I want you to go to 2 areas of your life, so personal and professional, and to list 2 things you want to achieve. And what's important is to be very, very specific. Okay, and I also want you to push yourself to set a goal that's something bold and meaningful. And remember how I said a few minutes ago, the real purpose of a goal is to grow. It's to cause you to draw strengths and talents out of yourself that are there, that are dormant. Okay, and it might feel like it's not something that's within your realm of reaching, but that's okay. What matters is that it's something that you really, really want. So I want to encourage you, whether this call is done or sometime in the next 24 hours, to put aside maybe 20 minutes and write out 2 things that you really want to achieve, and be very specific. Be very specific. So if you want a certain dollar amount of revenue, say, write out exactly what that amount is. What kind of service are you going to be providing in order to have this? Why do you want this? What is it going to be able to afford you? Financial freedom, for example. Or is there, I know I had spoke with someone recently who wanted to double her income so that she could help her kids pay off their college loans from college, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It has to be something that you really, really want. It's that why you want it that's going to fire you up. What I often find is that people will set a financial amount, but a financial amount is only a number, right? It's the emotion behind what it is that will give you the financial freedom, the type of life that you want, the service that you will provide your clients. That's what gets us fired up, okay? So I encourage you to dream big with this and write out, both personal and professional, what it is that you want to achieve. It can even be things like you want more harmony in your household, okay? The most important thing is that it's something that you really, really want. And don't pay any attention to whether it's quote unquote realistic, right? What we want to do is get you to write it down. So the next step in this process is that I ask you to write out what we call a goal card. So what Lisa just showed you a few minutes ago was her goal card, okay? And initially you write out your vision in enormous depth. But what we do then is we make it succinct into something that you can put on a small card. It's like the size of a business card. And it's important to set a date. What I usually recommend to people is either a year from now, 2 years from now, or 3 years from now. A year from now is the most, what I recommend the most, because it's a time frame that's within reach. And it starts with the phrase, I'm so happy and grateful now that. And the reason you want to start with this is because your subconscious mind is your emotional mind. So you want to evoke that you're happy and grateful. And something else that's really important about writing out your goal statement is that it must be in the present tense, and it must be written as if you're already achieving this. Whoops, I set my little alarm for 20 minutes, so the 20 minutes just went off. Is that okay if I just keep talking about it?
Yeah, it's okay, Stephanie. No, this is so good. And we started a few minutes late. It's okay.
Okay. Good. So remember a few minutes ago when I started at the webinar and I read the quote from Earl Nightingale, right? And he said, before you can achieve the kind of life you want, you must think, act, talk, and conduct yourself in all your affairs as would the person you wish to become. Keep a mental picture of that person before you as often as you can during the day. Napoleon Hill, who is the author of the best-selling, I should say perennial best-selling personal development book, Think and Grow Rich, studied 500 successful people in the early 1900s over a 20-year period. And one of the things that he learned was highly successful people have goals. They have a clear, definite aim as to what they want to achieve. And they write out what they want to achieve, and they read their statement out loud twice daily. And more specifically, he said, as you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the good that you desire. So the seeing and feeling and believing, that relates to our subconscious mind. As we see and feel and believe and start acting and carrying ourselves like the person we want to become, we are impressing new images and creating new paradigms in our subconscious mind. So back to reiterate Earl Nightingale's statement, you must become the person first, right? Successful people become the person first. Now, before we end, I want to just take a few more minutes to do a quick recap of the stick person again. And I know this is a silly sounding concept and name, to think that we use this stick person in personal development. But I want to just summarize some of the key points, because this is where the power is, right? The power is in your subconscious mind and learning to use your mind effectively. So remember how I talked about, in order to change your results, you must go to the root cause of your behavior, okay? So when your body is behaving, it's taking actions, right? And to go to the root cause of our behavior is in our subconscious mind. The reason the body here is small relative to the mind is because the body is an instrument of the mind. The mind, and particularly the subconscious mind, is the command center. So remember a few minutes ago, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is your emotional mind. This is also the home of your habits, of your paradigms. Your paradigms are your mental programming. Your mental programming has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. To achieve your goals, you've got to create new habits. And to create new habits, we've got to replace the old ones in our subconscious mind. So that's why in this system of learning in Thinking into Result, we do things like write out the vision of the life that you want regularly. It's not enough to do it once a month. You must work on it every day, every week. Repetition is one of the key laws of learning, and it is particularly a law that applies to learning for the mind. All learning is for the mind, okay? Repetition is vitally important. Reading your goal card, that's why Napoleon Hill was saying twice a day, at least once in the morning and at least once in the evening. What we're doing is we're creating new images, new paradigms for our subconscious mind. Remember a few minutes ago, I said that unlike our conscious mind, our subconscious mind accepts as truth whatever information it receives with emotion, okay? So it's a type of self-hypnosis, so to speak. It's almost like we go in with our vision and our goal card, and we're like hacking into our own minds. Your mind is like a garden, okay? It is a rich, fertile soil. It can't tell the difference between poison ivy and the most magnificent rose you've ever seen, okay? That's why it's your job to plant roses in your garden and to pluck out the poison ivy, okay? Because your subconscious, whatever you plant in your mind is going to grow. And your body will take action based on what you've planted in your subconscious mind. And your actions determine your results. So to change your results, you've got to go to the root cause, which is your subconscious mind. So you've got to become the first person first, right? It starts, now here we have this adorable kitten, right, who's already seeing herself as this powerful lioness, we'll call her, okay? And it starts in her mind. She's seeing herself, she's carrying herself as the woman she wants to become. So you must become the person first. So that's the end of my formal presentation, so to speak. I'm happy to open up for questions. And I also want to mention, any of you, because I know we're going to run out of time very soon, you're welcome to contact me. I offer a free strategy consultation to anyone who's interested in knowing more about this process. And I've only just touched the most small surface of this. So I'd love to be able to share much more information with you, and I welcome your calls and emails too.
Oh, Stephanie, I just love this information so much. I love it.
Isn't it great?
Every time I listen to you, I'm like, I haven't written my vision in a couple of days. I got to get better. It's just other than learning about G Plus and health, which I was so like a kid again, when I started learning all this stuff. This is how I felt for the last year. Oh my gosh, this is it. We can totally change our life. And yes. I'm so profoundly grateful for you and this system and this program and Bob Proctor. And do you guys have any questions before we end our call tonight? She's totally happy to take a few questions. I know we're running a little late, but it's okay. It's worth it.
Yeah, and there's no dumb question. Any question?
Stephanie, this is Donna Lambert. I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you because it was really, really fabulous.
Good. And I do want to encourage you, for those of you on this call or listening to the recording, really take the time to write out that vision. It is really, really worth it. Okay, to get, especially this is such a great time of the year. We've got the new year. We've got a brand new year just around the corner, right?
Yep.
So the timing couldn't be better.
Stephanie, would you or Lisa be willing to take a look at our statement and let us know if it's
absolutely
a good one?
So here's my, do you see my email here, Stephanie@StephanieHesslerCoach.com? Just feel free to send it to me, and I'm happy to help you, tweak it.
Thank you.
Yeah, for anyone.
And I'll post it in case you guys didn't get it.
Got it.
So I do have a question now. Sorry.
You're good.
My mind. So the one part that we list 2 things that we want to achieve and be very specific. So the one personal and one professional. Then we're taking those 2 things and we're doing our card. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and we're incorporating those 2 things into where we see within the year, a year to 2 years, but a year. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So put yourself in the place of so imagine, okay, your name is Donna?
Yes.
Yep. So Donna, imagine a year has gone by and you've achieved that goal. Okay. So put yourself in that place of how good it feels, and make sure that you give it an emotional charge too. And by giving it an emotional charge, I mean, I'll just give you an example. Like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a top 5% sales earner for my company, providing excellent service to clients. I love having financial freedom. My family and I love our beautiful new house in Cambridge, and we just booked our tickets to Thailand. I love my life. Something like that. That's a bit of a generic example, but
I like it. That was good. No, it's good. Any other questions, you guys, or comments or anything?
Sure. I'm sure there's different programs, but do you meet virtually like once a week or once a month? How does that work?
So the way it works, it's I guide my clients through a 6-month process, but there's a rolling admissions. So you join whenever you're ready. And there are 3 parts to the program. There's a self-study portion, which is created by Bob's company. So it's the actual Thinking into Results program. There's a second part, which is I hold a weekly webinar every Tuesday evening. So I held my webinar this evening. And that's open to all my clients, but it's confidential. So I don't, you don't have to share names if you don't care to. And then the third part is that we have weekly coaching. And the weekly coaching is usually about half an hour. But that varies depending on people's needs. So it's a 6-month process where you're in this container of support. And I feel that the weekly coaching is really an important part of it, because I want to make sure that you succeed, that you're getting it, that you're staying on track. And in the beginning, I find often I really have to work people with helping them change some of their habitual thinking, right? You'd be amazed how many people have kind of, even unaware, just negative thinking, including about themselves, right? So the beginning can be a little more intense in terms of really interrupting negative programming.
Great. Thanks.
It's just like, it's just, I did it twice. I loved it so much. Yeah. I was like, I have to do this again. I have to do it again. And like, I will do this forever. And the other thing that you guys can do for yourselves, and, maybe this is something that we can talk about as a team, is Thinking into Results. The book, Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill. And I heard Terry Luongo close a conference maybe 10 years ago, and she mentioned that book. And of course I got it. And it's not an easy book to read depending on the edition that you buy. And I had an older edition, and I think I read like 2 or 3 chapters, and I wrote down my goals, and I was really into it. And then I just put it away. And when I started working with Stephanie last year, I was like, oh my gosh, I still have that book. But then I ordered the new edition, and there is rarely a day that goes by that I don't read at least a page of Think and Grow Rich. And it's like wet because I read it in the bathtub every night when I take a bath, and it's underlined a million times and it's bookmarked a million times. And it is like, I mean, I don't want to say it's the Bible because it's not the Bible, but it's like, for me, it is a foundational book that I will read every day for the rest of my life. And so
it is an amazing book.
I think they're making a movie about it.
Yes.
It's going to come out next year.
I wanted to make a comment. I didn't have a question, but yesterday I was pulling out all of my Christmas CDs for the road trip when we go to family, because it's an 8-hour drive. And I was listening to Christmas music on the way over, but no Christmas music on the way back. So I had an audio book that was given to me as a gift, literally 10 years ago at least. Still in the packaging, never opened it up. And I'm like, I think I'm going to listen to this. And that audiobook is The Secret.
Oh, that's so funny. That's great,
That's
Marie.
good.
I know.
That's cool.
Keep listening to it. Mm-hmm.
And thank you. Thank you. This was great.
Well,
My pleasure.
I know it's late on the East Coast, and I know we've gone a little bit over, but I just wanted to share you with my team because I love you and I love my team so much. And I just think this work is so critical. And, yes, for our Juice Plus businesses, yes, to have the success that I know many of you guys want and deserve, but also for your whole life. And it really it flows into every single part of your life. So thank you so much, Stephanie. I just love you, and you're in my life forever. And just so grateful for all of this and for you taking the time for everybody tonight. So
Thank you.
with that, we'll say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank